I do a quick tutorial on how to replace the struts, front struts on a 2017 WRX, 2015 and newer, without any professional tools. First, you want to get a jack. Place it underneath the pinch welds. Jacking point. I'm on the passenger side, so on that side. Break the lugs loose first before you lift it in the air. Then once you jack it up, lift it in the air. You can remove the bolts. I don't have an impact, so I'm just using a lug wrench. Once you have the wheel off, put a jack stand down. This isn't the most ideal place to put a jack stand. Under the control arm, there's a bolt. But at least I know the car's not going to crush me if the jack fails, which I don't think it will, knock on wood. Next, you're going to want a standard socket set, lug wrench, or impact drill if you got it. Get some penetrating fluid. You're going to want to hit these bolts on top. There's 3 of them. You're going to want to hit the 2 on the strut tower. Right here that holds the brake line. And these down here. Sway bar end links. 12 millimeter socket to remove the 3 on top. For the strut tire bolts, they're 19 millimeters. When you do this, don't use a torque wrench and don't use a regular ratchet with an extension on it because you'll break it. Use a breaker bar, or what's even cooler is the lug wrench that Subaru provides. Their lugs are 19, so you can even use that, and you're definitely not breaking that. So either one. Might need to put the camera down. All right, once you have the bolts broke loose, you can use a regular 19 millimeter ratchet. Get them all the way off. Same thing for the bottom. If the bottom one spins, hold it with the breaker bar on the other side, or the lug wrench like I was telling you. So the bottom one slid right on out. Take note of which side has the nut and which side has the bolt, and also take note of which one's on the bottom and which one's on the top. In this case, the one on top is actually longer than the one on the bottom, and it has a washer, where this one doesn't. Just keep a mental note. So I know the nut's facing the front of the car. The bottom one slid right out, but the top didn't, because all the weight from the strut assembly is landing on top of that. So grab yourself a jack stand and hold the rotor assembly with it. So hold some of the weight, set it up. All right, now that the rotor assembly is supported by a jack stand, go ahead and head it out with a mallet, the top one. If you can, if it's not seized. Don't forget to grab a 12 millimeter again for the brake line. You may have to use a breaker bar on this one too, if it's really stuck. Yep, the breaker bar with an extension and a 12 millimeter deep socket was able to break it loose, so now I can just ratchet it off. The ABS harness on the opposite side is held in by a plastic clip, so you're going to get some pliers or a flathead screwdriver to depress the tabs and then send it through the other side. All right, now that it's removed, find a way to hold it out of the way. Same with the brake line on this side, even if you have to use like a mallet or something just to keep it out of the way. Same thing with this side. Just be careful with it. All right, here comes the fun part, getting the old strut assembly out. Right there. Get the wires out of the way. Try to get the brake line out of the way. And when you remove that second bolt of the two on the strut tower brace, it should have shot down. But now you just got to figure out a way to maneuver it out of here. But I like to use the OEM ones, so I'll just take these off and reuse the old ones. I bought the complete assembly because I didn't feel like taking the spring off and all that BS when you just replace the entire thing. Now the tricky part is lining it up. When you do this, make sure that you're in between the two harnesses, or the harness and the brake line. Once I got one, I like to put a nut on the top to hold it in place so I can screw in the other two. All right, I got the top three nuts screwed in, secured. Don't tighten them up all the way yet, because you're gonna need the flexibility down low. All right, got the brake line secure, got the ABS line secure. The hardest part of this job now is getting these knuckle holes to line up with the strut tower holes. The way we're gonna do it is we are going to take the sway bar end link off, and we're going to use a scissor jack to hold the lower control arm to bring it down, and that'll line it right up. You can use blocks, or I use some random landscaping bricks, but put the scissor jack. See, we still got our jack stand, our jack supporting. Put the scissor jack right on the bolt on the lower control arm. Then we're going to take these, nut 1, nut 2 off sway bar end link. We got the sway bar end link off. These are 17mm, and again, you might have to use a breaker bar or an impact gun to get them off at first, or break them loose. So now that this is off, we should be able to use a scissor jack here and jack the assembly up so that the holes line up perfectly with the knuckle holes. All right, we were able to line the holes up and put the bolts and the nuts back in. Remember what I said about keeping in mind which bolt and which nut goes where and facing which direction. This top bolt is longer and it's a different shape than the bottom bolt used for camber and for the alignment. So you definitely want to make sure that's in the right place, not on the bottom, vice versa. Now we can tighten these up and then tighten the top up. We're almost there. Okay, I've gotten them as tight as I could get them with the ratchet. Now we're gonna lift the scissor jack back up so that we can put that sway bar end link back on. You'll probably have to use a screwdriver or the tool that comes with the scissor jack. Now that we've got the load from the spring, the new spring on there, just to get it back up. All right, we should be able to put our sway bar end link back on now. All right, be sure to tighten them up. Okay, now that our sway bar end links are back on tight, you can go ahead and lower the scissor jack. Okay, now go to the top and tighten up the 3 nuts on the top. The 3 nuts on top are secured. Grab your 19 breaker bar or grab your Subaru provided lug wrench and go ahead and tighten these up as tight as you can get them. Okay, now that you got your strut tower bolts and nuts as tight as you can get them, go ahead and take everything out. Jack stands and everything else, and then start putting the wheel on. Okay, now that you got the lugs back on the wheel, go ahead and make sure, again, nothing's underneath the car. Go ahead and set her down. Now that the car is down, go ahead and tighten up all the lug nuts in a star pattern. Don't forget, now that your new struts are on, you will need an alignment to set the camber straight. Congratulations, you just saved yourself $3,000 by doing it yourself instead of going to the dealership. Good job.